Hi guys, today's video is all about self-care, and this is an important topic that, in my opinion, we can't talk enough about, but it's also one that we often avoid. You know, how often do I hear, I don't have time for self-care, or how do you make time for that, or even like, what is self-care? So I wanted to let you know that self-care, in my opinion, historically, when we think about self-care, we think about the day at the spa or the nice vacation or just something that takes like way too much time. And as a busy mom and a career woman, it's like I don't always have time to go to the day at the spa. Not that I don't want to, I just don't have time. And so then what happens? We stop taking care of ourselves, and then we're out of energy. Like, we feel depleted, we start to get irritable and sometimes even resentful over one thing or another, and we're just exhausted. And so it's really important just to like stop and pause and know that self-care isn't, the long day at the spa. And again, I'm not saying that that's not important. At times that is important, the spa, the vacation, or whatever. There's even a study going around on the internet about how most moms need a momcation, and I agree. However, in my opinion, we also need to figure out how to do small things every day for ourselves. Just like I've said in other videos, and the one thing that I really like about Dr. Gottman, I like a lot of things about what he says when it comes to relationships. We need to find small ways to take care of our relationship, and what are small ways that we connect to one another. And in my opinion, that's applicable to our relationship with ourselves. What are small ways that we can take care of ourselves? So when we hear the word self-care, we don't go, oh. Instead, we're saying, we got this. We're gonna find a way to make ourselves a priority. I know in my previous video about self-care, I'd say if you never take your car to the gas station, what happens? You run out of gas. And metaphorically, that's what happens to us too. We run out, and as I was saying earlier, we're exhausted. And when we're exhausted, everyone suffers. Our kids, our partners, our jobs, and ourselves. Again, our relationship with ourselves is one of the most important. So in this video, I'm gonna go over 10 tips on brief ways to take care of yourself that you can do every day. To the mom who's just had a newborn baby and, you're flooded with no sleep, your kid's crying, your partner wants this, you want that, your other kids, these things are applicable. Or to the person who's, constantly running they're going to this carpool or that carpool, or you don't have kids and you're just really busy. You've got a deadline to meet and you have a dinner date to go to. This video is applicable for anybody. So what are the 10 tips? So the other thing, before I get into that, I promise I'll get into that in just a second. The other thing is, I want you, as you go through this video, take a moment to really make a commitment to yourself to say, I'm gonna choose one of these 10 things and I'm going to try them today or today. And then I'm gonna pick 2 more that I'm gonna do for the rest of the week. So I'm gonna come back to you in a minute. So what are the 10 tips? Here they are. Breathe, that's number 1. And I probably talk about this in most of my videos. The power of the breath. When we learn how to take big, deep breaths, what it does is, in that moment when we take those big, deep diaphragmatic breathing, it helps lower our cortisol levels. We feel better, we feel more at ease. And so how do we do that? The 3 deep breaths is taking a deep breath in, even holding it, and as you breathe in, your belly expands, and then when you breathe out, you imagine your belly button and your spine touching as you breathe out. So it looks like this. And you can even count, 2 in, 2 out, and or 2 in, 4 out, as a way to kind of help yourself be mindful of that breathing in and breathing out. So that is step 1. And again, remember guys, when we take those deep breaths, we reduce the cortisol. So when we're really busy, we're super stressed. When we're super stressed, our cortisol level's going up. which in our adrenal gland, it kind of sends our whole body functioning out of whack. And that's why we don't feel good, we're tired, and we become a little bit more irritable. So when you're in the car, if you do have kids and you're driving them all around, guess what? You can take your 3 deep breaths. Or when you wake up, before you start your morning routine, kids or no kids, wake up, the first thing you do is 3 deep breaths. When you're getting ready to go to lunch, 3 deep breaths. Right before you go to bed, 3 deep breaths. Guess what? You're not adding anything to your day. You have to breathe. You're just taking a moment to pause and take those 3 deep breaths. All right? Tip number 2, movement. Some people like to call it exercise. To me, it's any way that you choose to move your body. Dancing, going for a walk, doing calisthenics in the morning. I went to a seminar and a doctor talked about how we need movement. It doesn't have to be the 3 hours at the gym. It's really, for women, it's small doses, like 10 minutes at a time, at least 3 times a day, of cardio, of stretching, doing those things that help us build, our stamina. And so how are we doing that? It doesn't have to be a lot. Just how are we moving our bodies is important. So remember, movement is another form of self-care. So, maybe you wake up 10 minutes early and find a way to do some light stretching. Or if you're someone who has to be at work at 5 a.m., you don't want to get up 10 minutes earlier. So it's at the end of the night, right when you get home, before you start dinner, do, some stretching or go for a walk. If you have an animal, taking your dog out for a walk a little bit longer. How can you incorporate these acts of self-care in your daily life? And that's important, small ways to do it. Tip number 3 is complete a task or a goal for the day. How many of you make a list, and how often do those lists create even more stress in your life? I think you got to find what works for you. Sometimes I make lists and it make me too stressed, so I throw them out the door. Other times, lists are really important for me, so find what works for you. But sometimes when you say, like, I've completed one thing for the day, you just feel better. For example, if I have a lot to do today and I'm running, and I do the dishes, I feel better because my sink is clean. It's something that I'm going to do. Some days I don't do the dishes and I wake up and I'm upset because they're in the sink still. So finding small things that's like an accomplishment of like, oh yeah, I did that, or I made that call that I didn't want to make, or, just those little things that you can incorporate in your day as a way to stay positive. We are constantly doing a lot every day. So finding those things to give yourself some acknowledgement and appreciate the hard work you're doing is a form of self-care. Tip number 4, it's okay to have a bad day. We don't always wake up in great moods, or things happen. There's a saying, not every day is good, but there's good in every day. And, I think first it's okay to acknowledge that some days are just kind of crummy. And we don't have to sit in it. We don't have to stay in it forever. But to acknowledge, hey, today's just a bad day. And then what choice do I have? Do I choose to sit in the bad day, or do I choose to focus on the good in the day? So, it's okay to have a bad day. Just don't sit in it. Remember that. That's a form of self-care. Number 5, or tip 5, is connection. How do we create a connection in our day so we don't, kind of just feel isolated, or we've got to do this all on our own? Connections with friends, families, partners, lovers, spouses, anything that is a connection. And a connection is just a conversation, or it's a smile, or it's a hug. Just in what ways can you connect to someone? Or even a stranger, maybe buy a stranger a coffee, or, just talk to someone to get to know them. That's a connection, and a connection helps us feel better. So remember, the self-care is how can I feel, how do I take care of myself? How can I feel refueled and re-energized? Connection is one of those key components. 6 is gratitude. I love gratitude. I've talked about the 5-minute journal, just any ways to really take care of to to express and to participate and to remember what are the things that I'm grateful for. Just like I was saying earlier, the quote, not every day is good, but there's good in every day. Finding those things that we're grateful for helps lift us up, and it helps remind us that there is good in every day. We just have to be willing to look for it. So, what am I grateful for today? What are the things that really help me? And if you do that at the beginning and the end of the day, kind of like the 5-minute journal does, it helps remind us that even though you've had a really stressful day, you naturally just start to feel better by participating in that gratitude. Tip number 7 is meditation. I love, love, love meditation. And the meditation that I practice is actually called the Ziva meditation from Emily Fletcher. She wrote a book, Stress Less, Accomplish More. That has been a real life changer in my experience. My experience is my own. So any way that you can teach yourself how to meditate. There's the Calm app, the Headspace app. Look up Emily Fletcher. It's a way to really help us recenter and refuel. Meditation is great. Tip 8 is go out in nature. Nature just naturally helps us feel better. So if you've had the busy day, maybe even from your car to your house or the front door, just pause and breathe. Look at the trees around, breathe in the fresh air. I know that's not a lot, but that's an important piece. Being present in nature, or take your shoes off and stand in the dirt or the sand. Go watch a sunset. Anything that really helps uplift you, and it's brief. Tip 9 is how do you fuel your body? What we put in our body makes a difference. There's even studies about how our stomach is our second brain. There's lots of information about food and how it can fuel us. If I'm eating fast food all the time, I feel like crap. If I'm nurturing my body with food that helps me feel better, that gives me energy, then I feel great. So, let's say you woke up and you didn't make the best choice for breakfast. What's a healthy choice for lunch? There's always time to start over, so remember that too. Don't beat yourself up all day because it's like you made one bad choice or even two. It's saying, hey, I'm human. There are going to be times when I make mistakes. So what's a better choice moving forward? All right. So how do I fuel my body? Am I drinking enough water? Put down the energy drinks and get some water. Water really helps us refuel and re-energize. If you're dehydrated, dehydration at times can also feel like anxiety. So, how are you fueling your body with water and food that gives you energy? And then the last tip is creating moments of joy and laughter. Joy really helps lift us up, and finding those joyful moments, being silly, finding ways to laugh really helps pull us out of some dark moments. And it's a way to take care of yourself. Even going back to if you're having a bad day or if you're feeling really sad or even depressed, think about moments that you've had joy, even if it was 5 years ago. Remind yourself. Put on a funny show. Get yourself laughing, or a fake smile registers as a real smile. Remember, joy, again, helps elevate and lift us out of those not so great moments, and it's a really great way to take care of yourself. So those are the 10 tips and how you can take care of yourself in the everyday. That is, in my opinion, realistic. So going back to what I said at the beginning of the video, how do you want to make this commitment to yourself? Out of the 10, breathe, movement, completing a goal. It's okay to not have a great day. Connection, gratitude, meditation, nature, how you fuel your body, joy and laughter. Out of those 10, which one do you choose to participate in today? And comment below and let me know. And really make that commitment in the next week. What are you going to do at least 3 days to take care of yourself based on those 10 tips? All right, guys, I really want to hear from you and let me know what you did that is helpful. Also, if you have another thing that is practical and that you do every day that's really helpful in terms of how you take care of yourself, comment below and let me know. All right, I hope you have a beautiful day taking care of yourself, choosing one thing. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for weekly updates all about relationships.